The call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. Welcome into the show. It's another game day because Arkansas won yesterday. They avoided the only potential semi-damaging loss that you could have in Nashville with a 72-68 win over South Carolina. Cool. Yeah. Nice little quadrant 2 win over the Gamecocks to give you a little bit more depth on the trusty old resume there. So good stuff for the Razorbacks. Like we said beforehand, we've been pretty bullish that we felt like Arkansas was locked into the NCAA tournament before that game. Certainly still feel that way afterwards. Regardless, kind of feels like Arkansas is playing with some house money, playing for seeding a little bit against Ole Miss here at noon today, which I will say gets very, very interesting if Arkansas were to win this game. We'll talk about that in just a second. Joe Lunardi put out his most recent update and has the Arkansas Razorbacks completely off the bubble. They're not in the last 4 in or the last 4 buys or anything like that. So secured, safe, off the bubble, probably right there on that 10 seed line. But now the question is kind of, could Arkansas play their way into that 8-9 seed range and get into a game that would piss everybody off? Because I know nobody wants to see that. But hear me out. I'm not advocating for it here. I'm just saying this is something to keep an eye on. What I did, I'm going to pull this up, is I went through and pulled 3 resumes to compare with Arkansas's here. And it's 3 teams who are allegedly, or by a lot of accounts, maybe just a little bit ahead of Arkansas in the pecking order. We got the Hogs with Vanderbilt, West Virginia, and Baylor. Let me get this banner out of the way. That way you guys can fully see that there. Okay. So as you can see, like just take Arkansas and Vanderbilt, for example. Look at how close this is. Look at how close it is. Same quad 1 record, same overall record, same quad 2 record, no losses outside of the first 2 quadrants. Vanderbilt's a little bit better in the resume metrics. Arkansas is a little bit better in the predictives. It's crazy how close those 2 teams are to each other. But here's what you have to keep in mind. A few things to keep in mind as we look at this. And you can see West Virginia and Baylor there as well. Both of those teams, I think there are arguments to be made either way on Arkansas there. You know, like it's a toss-up, man. Like you could probably argue yourself into either team here in terms of the pecking order. But Vanderbilt, Arkansas won, obviously, against South Carolina. It wasn't overly impressive, but they got that. I already saw that they've moved up a little bit in Torvik. By the time you guys see this, because it's Wednesday night as I'm sitting here recording this, so a lot of this is going to update Thursday morning. Won't be crazy shifts for the most part, but there are going to be some movement based on what we're seeing right here. Vanderbilt lost to Texas. So by the time you guys see this, their metrics are going to change. They're going to get worse, right? Same for West Virginia. They might take a fairly steep dive. They were already down in the net a little bit there, but they took just a gross loss to Colorado. That might be the worst team in the Big 12. That's going to impact them. That's not a good thing for them. They've got no more room to move up. Neither does Vanderbilt. Baylor, they did get a needed win over Kansas State, but they're kind of right there on that line as well, based on some of the things that they've done here recently. You look at Arkansas right now, here's what you got to keep in mind. So like I said, I'm recording this Wednesday night, so the net hasn't updated. By the time this comes out Wednesday or Thursday morning, it will have, and we'll see. But there's a chance that when we wake up Thursday morning, because Mississippi State beat the hell out of LSU, that win that you got last Saturday, all they'd have to do is move up a couple spots, and that moves into a quad 1 win for you. That will get you to 6 quad 1 wins. There's a chance, and this game's going on as I record here, that if Georgia beats Oklahoma, they're only 1 spot off. That would almost certainly move back to a quad 1 win for Arkansas. Well, that gets you to 7. If you beat Ole Miss at noon today, that gets you to 8. If Arkansas gets to 8 quadrant 1 wins, I'm going to tell you this right now. We're not talking about a 10 seed here. Okay, we're not talking about an 11 seed or anything like that. No. If Arkansas gets to that point, folks, we're talking seed line bumps. If they get up to 7 or 8 quad 1 wins here, that's where it's going to be. So keep an eye on that. And listen, I'm with everybody who's like, no, I don't want the 8-9 game. I don't want to see the 1 seed in the second round. Like, give me a 7-10 game, give me a 6-11 game, whatever. And maybe that'll be how it works out. Like maybe these things won't shake out that way, but it kind of feels like some of them will. But I'll tell you this right now. I feel like at least one of those games is going to get bumped. And then if they do beat Ole Miss, that might be where they're at. Because, I mean, if you add 3 freaking quad 1 victories to your resume in the course of 2 days and then like 24 to 48 hours, that completely changes things. And so when bracketologists go back through and the committee goes back through and they kind of erase everything, they scrub those brackets again and just kind of reevaluate all those resumes, Arkansas's would look a lot different. A lot different. So I don't know. I mean, it's just something to keep an eye on because it feels like a pretty seismic change to me when I was looking at some of this stuff. And that was only a few polls that I had. Like I didn't pull up San Diego State or, Memphis. Say they lose a game in the AAC tournament. Like there's more teams there that are up for grabs if Arkansas is to make that big of a shift. So I will be watching this very, very closely. I have my alarm set to wake up and check out those net rankings. It's going to be crazy. Did mention, a couple bubble things. Ohio State lost, by the way. Ohio State was kind of in that last 4-in group. They're done. I mean, they're 17-15. I think only 3 15-loss teams have made the NCAA tournament field, and all 3 of them had at least 19 wins when they did it. 17-15 ain't going to get it done. That's crazy talk. And they don't have the crazy amount of victories and the crazy metrics and everything to even semi-justify it. I think they're just completely out of there. Texas is still alive because they did beat Vanderbilt, which I think is a good thing for Arkansas because that has the opportunity to help move at least one of those Texas wins back into that quad 1A status. It sucks because for like one day, Arkansas had 4 of them. Now they just have 1 because of how weird those shifts are. So you're kind of rooting in the periphery for, hey, like Michigan, play well in your tournament. Texas, play well here. Some of those games, Missouri, play well in the SEC tournament. You got an opportunity to kind of add some of those very, very top end wins back on there. It's just a little bit of icing on the cake, but it seems relevant. But let's get into this game real quick. We'll move through it pretty quick. Quick hits, right? Rapid fire preview here of Ole Miss because Arkansas does play today. It's another nooner, so be sure that you join us for another watch party in place of Inside Arkansas Live because we're going to be watching the game anyway. You might as well watch along with us and hang out, get in the chat. It'll be a lot of fun. Should be less stressful than maybe this game against South Carolina just because of the lesser importance that's at play here. But I said this yesterday, and I'll say it again here this morning. All conditions equal, I would pick Arkansas to beat Ole Miss right now today on a neutral floor. I really would, and I'd feel confident in doing that. Problem is the conditions are not equal, right? Because the Rebels did enough in the regular season to get a bye in the first day of the conference tournament, and Arkansas did not, right? Ole Miss got the 8 seed, Arkansas got the 9. Okay, so what conditions aren't equal? Well, less than 24 hours rest here for the Razorbacks, 7 rotation players for the Razorbacks right now, another thumb injury. We'll see about that. I feel very confident that Z's going to play, but like how effective is he going to be? So, in fairness, going into this game, advantage Ole Miss, right? But it ain't crazy at all to think Arkansas could get this done. It's really not. So I don't know. I'm sure there are some out there who would probably prefer, right, that Arkansas just loses this game, gets it over with, get out of there, avoid any further injuries, get rested up, and back as close to 100% as you can for the NCAA tournament next week. And if you feel that way, I don't blame you one bit. Personally, I can't go there. I can't. I can never really operate that way. I want to see Arkansas play well, and I want to see them win. But what I will say is I'll be far less stressed during our watch party, and I'm not going to be sweating it if they lose. I'm not going to be critiquing it. I'm not going to be going crazy. It is what it is. And I will be able to look back in hindsight and think, maybe this isn't the worst thing in the world for them. So I think we probably agree from that standpoint. But a few things to watch here from the Arkansas standpoint of things going into this game. One, will they have their legs? Less than 24 hours rest, back-to-backs. They haven't done that. The closest example we have was that late night overtime Wednesday game where they beat Texas and they had that early nooner tip against South Carolina on Saturday, and they looked horrible. All right. So was that a premonition, like a sign of things that are going to come today? I mean, I don't know. but that's the closest of an example as we have here. Honestly, though, if you look at it, and I still got the box score pulled up right here, so let me just roll through this real quick. You had 3 guys who played over 30 minutes in this game. So Nelly played 36, Trevin played 37, and DJ Wagner played 35. And that's heavy minutes, but outside of that, shouldn't you be fine? I mean, Billy played 26, Jonas 25, Carter 23, and Big Z 17. You wouldn't think that they'd have super heavy, super sore legs after that. That's no big deal. They do more than that in practice. So I don't think it's going to be like a full team dead leg situation. We'll see how it impacts them down the stretch of the game, the final few minutes. Are the shots falling? Can you really dig your heels in and get those final defensive stops, or, all those little factors there? But I'd be pretty surprised if they don't come out and have a little bit of juice. Like it wasn't like all those guys were playing 38, 39, 40 minutes, but definitely something to keep an eye on for sure. How hurt is Z, right? These thumbs, man, these thumbs have been a huge pain in the butt for Arkansas. He was definitely favoring it. Like, didn't want to catch the ball at the free throw line, but then he was making his free throws. Seemed hesitant out there with it. Looked like he couldn't even move it when the athletic trainer was evaluating it. But then he was able to receive that pocket pass from DJ on the pick and roll. So it's kind of hard to say. Just based on what we saw, you feel a little bit concerned about it. Because if you can't physically lift it, you wonder about tendons and stuff like that. But that's a view from a TV screen. We have no idea. The fact that they wrapped him and had him back out there, it tells me that he's probably going to play through it. How effective is he going to be? Right? Because that kind of stuff can impact your ability to receive passes, to get into your shot, although the free throws look good. The other thing you got to keep an eye on the next day is like how much does it swell up and stiffen up on you? That's, if you ever jammed a finger before, sometimes you wake up the next day and the thing's twice the size and you can't bend it and everything because of the inflammation. I'm sure that they've been, having that dude dunked in an ice bucket for most of the night. We'll have to find out. Hopefully they can just kind of, wrap him up, keep that thing protected because he has to play. I wonder if you consider moving him from the top of the key where he operates a lot to the dunker spot, just for his minutes he's going to be out there, just for the rest of the SEC tournament, depending on how that thing feels. Because it seems to me like it would be easier to handle like dump offs down there, some lobs right around the rim, maybe get a couple tip ins, offensive rebounds or whatever, as opposed to when he's out there on the perimeter, he's so involved on having to catch passes, put it on the floor, getting the dribble handoff action and all that stuff. It just seems like more stress on a potential injured thumb. If you're in that situation, maybe you put Trevin up there and let him operate there, or even Jonas, who's not a shooting threat, but he's really smart and he's really good in that. And then also some pick and roll. And that could give Z an opportunity. Like if Jonas gets in a dribble handoff or ball screen action and he's rolling hard to the rim, it's a good opportunity for Z then to pop hard to the perimeter. Might get at some rhythm catch and shoot stuff out there. Just a thought, just food for thought from that standpoint with him. What else? What's up with Carter Knox? He didn't look too good, did he, against South Carolina? I don't know. Seemed a little bit frustrated. Wasn't really able to get it going. He's a guy who it feels like he could really use a bounce back here. Carter could. I think he's good for it too. Can Jonas keep rolling? I mean, Ole Miss has got some good players inside, but Jonas is playing at an all SEC level right now. Back-to-back double-doubles. Can he do it a third time? I wouldn't count him out, especially against this team. So going to be really intrigued to see if he can continue to stack good games here. It's been a heck of a development late in the season for Arkansas. Looking for Nelly Davis to knock down some threes. He did some good stuff in the game. Like maybe we could avoid the trying to miss a free throw for no reason at the end of the game. I wouldn't have even been mad if he would have just like told Cal no. If he's just like, no, that's crazy, coach, and just made the free throw. He wound up making it anyway, even though he was trying to miss, but I'm never going to understand that decision. Anyway, I think it's time to get him going a little bit from beyond the arc, because that just opens everything else up for him. But if you have a game where, Nelly hits 3 threes for you, you feel pretty good about your chances, right? What about Ole Miss real quick? And then we'll get out of here. That's the team Arkansas is playing, so I guess we should talk about them in this episode. But listen, they're solid. We know this. Very well coached under Chris Beard, tough, hard-nosed group. But they're vulnerable and beatable. And they've proven that lately. Lost 4 out of 6 to close the regular season. Kind of a mixed bag, though. I mean, they took a double-digit loss at home to Mississippi State. They lost at Vanderbilt. They got 30-balled at Auburn, a 20-piece by Florida. So they kind of even getting their ass kicked a little bit here. But in the same time, they did sneak in, a nice win over Oklahoma, and they beat Tennessee in there. So it's a team that's capable, but certainly very beatable. I think we could probably all agree with that. At this point, when I go to KenPom or Torvik or wherever to just check on the analytics and the stats and stuff, I break it down to the numbers to SEC only, because I don't care what they did against, Central Connecticut State or whoever the heck they played in non-conference. SEC play, all these teams are good, and I think it just gives you a better barometer for where these teams are actually at. And from that standpoint, I'm just being honest, and I don't mean this as an insult. Ole Miss is the definition of mid. They are. There's 16 teams in the SEC, and in SEC play, Ole Miss is 8th in offensive and defensive efficiency. They're mid. It just so happens that mid in this league is good enough to get you like a 6 seed or a 7 seed in the NCAA tournament, right? Here's the thing about them. A lot of the reason why their offensive efficiency is so high, it's not because they're like this well-oiled machine that just, drains shots and, plays ridiculously good offense. No, it's not that. They just don't turn the ball over, like at all. Best in the league in turnover percentage there. Their average from 3, 34%. That's honestly like right about where Arkansas is. Not finishing great around the rim, 12th in 2-point percentage, under 50%. But man, they don't turn that thing over. So they're getting shots on goal every possession. The interesting thing about that is that they're getting shots off almost every possession, but they're not hitting the offensive glass. They're last in the league in offensive rebounding. That's music to my ears. If I'm Arkansas and I'm thinking, how much gas do we have in the tank here? That we're going to be getting beat to loose balls. We're going to be getting killed on the backboards. Probably not. Against Ole Miss, there's really no reason for that to be the case. Defensively, they do some good things. Not a rim protecting team, not a bunch of block shots, but they do force turnovers at a good clip. And we know that they're going to be very fundamentally sound and locked in on that end of the floor. Let's talk players here as we wrap up. I got to start with Malik Dia. Malik Dia is a problem for Arkansas. I'm concerned about that matchup. 6'9", 250 with guard skills. And by guard skills, I mean he can take you off the dribble one-on-one, and he can stretch the floor and knock down threes. He's good, man. Had 21 and 8 on Arkansas at Bud Walton Arena when Ole Miss won that game. And I don't feel like Arkansas should have lost that one. Hogs are a completely different team than when that game took place, but the result is a result. And Dia worked out on him. They had nothing for him. Arkansas is going to be much better this time around defending him. Sean Padula, white boy. I'm a white boy. I only say that because it's the easiest way to recognize him on the floor. But he's really good. Virginia Tech transfer, steady guard, but he's shooting at 40% from 3, and he's got nearly 80 makes on the year. So he's kind of a sniper out there from 3. Arkansas's got to be glued to him. They've got the 2 returning guards in the backcourt who can score it. Matthew Morrell, he's been hurt at times, and so his usage rate has gone way down, which is interesting, but he's still capable of having big games. And Jalen Murray, the little guard, lightning quick, shooting it better this year than he has in the past. Good player. You can't forget about Jamin Brakefield, who comes off the bench for him at the 4, been around forever, 6'8", can stretch the floor. They got some good players, man. Dre Davis, the Seton Hall transfer, he's like a mini version of a Duthero for them. Not 6'8", 225, but more like 6'6", 210, 215, but does a lot of the same things. So a talented roster, a good team, well coached. They're just solid. Top 30 nationally in offensive and defensive efficiency on the year. But they're not necessarily elite at anything besides taking care of the ball. And I think Arkansas has got an opportunity here if they've got the gas in the tank to take it, if they're healthy enough to take it. Do you guys want them to take it? I don't know, but we're going to evaluate it afterwards. But make sure you get tapped in with us. Remember, instead of Inside Arkansas Live at noon today, we will be doing another watch party. It's a good time. Come hang out with us. We'll have the score bug up there. We'll keep you updated. But for the most part, it's reacting in the moment and getting into the chat and engaging and enjoying each other's company. So appreciate everybody for tuning in, tapping in with us as always. It's an exciting time. March Madness, man. Selection Sunday is right around the corner, but more basketball to be played in Nashville before then. We'll catch you guys later.